I've elected to forge a new path without you. The phrase echoed through the lavish banquet hall where we had convened to commemorate my daughter's academic triumph. My husband of 28 years, Marcus, stayed upright with his goblet aloft, his disclosure eclipsing the accolade he was intended to deliver for Olivia's accomplishment. The clatter of cutlery halted. Dialogues stalled midway. Numerous eyes flicked between Marcus and me, expecting my outburst, the weeping, the tirades, the theatrical withdrawal they foresaw. Yet I beamed. Kudos for your frankness. My name is Victoria Langford, aged 54. Until this instant, I'd impeccably portrayed the loyal spouse and caregiver. I'd postponed my career goals to bolster Marcus through various enterprises, a few occupational pivots, and perpetual soul-searching spells. I'd cultivated our gifted daughter Olivia, seated adjacent, her scholarly cap still in place, her visage etched with dismay. Peripherally, I noticed Tamara Hayes, Marcus's considerably junior companion, squirming at a remote seating with individuals I'd deemed steadfast companions. Those companions who obviously were aware of the betrayal, but opted for muteness. The identical Tamara who had attended our festive soirees, who had previously solicited my counsel on her vocational journey. With serene poise, I reached into my satchel and extracted a pristine beige packet. I positioned it delicately by Marcus's setting. "What does it contain?" he questioned, his smug demeanor faltering. "Material for your subsequent perusal," I responded, my voice balanced. I turned to Olivia, her skin pallid. I bestowed a peck on her brow. "I'm immensely proud, dear. This event stays centered on your feet." Then I stood, straightened my attire, and addressed our bewildered assemblage. "Please relish your repast. Wishing everyone a splendid evening." With that, I departed the locale, posture erect, aware of numerous glances pursuing me. The sturdy portal sealed behind, silencing the nascent, uneasy buzz. Outside, the balmy summer air in Savannah swathed me fiercely, but I relished it. For ages, this was the freest breath I'd drawn. Rearward, the portal groaned ajar and thudded shut, trailed by Marcus's pitch, now strident and alarmed. "Victoria, what in blazes is this? What have you executed?" I proceeded, allowing a discreet smirk. The packet I'd presented initiated my vengeance, meticulously devised over months. I'd perpetually been the pragmatic half of our bond. While Marcus pursued lofty aspirations and ventured risks, I upheld the equilibrium our kin demanded. It was I who amassed reserves for Olivia's tuition amid Marcus's ill-advised stakes. It was I who logged extra shifts. My aspirations, a consulting firm for women's economics, were indefinitely shelved. After Olivia completes studies, I convinced myself, after Marcus attains equilibrium. 3 months prior, I detected irregularities in our combined ledgers, slight diversions to an unknown repository. Boasting 20 years overseeing our domestic economy, these aberrations blared alerts. I could have accosted Marcus forthwith, but prudence deterred me. Perhaps prescience, or the widening chasm between us recently. Instead, I commenced a covert inquiry. The revelations surpassed my apprehensions. Marcus had been methodically channeling assets to a clandestine reserve for over a year. He'd likewise indulged Tamara in opulent diners, acquiring trinkets, and surveying seaside estates, all whilst urging frugality for our twilight years. Subsequently, I exposed the communications when Marcus neglected to lock his gadget. Dialogues on their novel chapter, remarks on his emancipation finally, particulars of their blueprint for the morrow after Olivia's rite, the juncture he picked for his audacious retreat from our alliance. What Marcus disregarded, or never fully apprehended, was my 30-year proficiency in monetary affairs. I commanded transfer routes. I shone in asset pursuit. And vitally, I recollected the antenuptial pact from 28 years hence, when my patrimony surpassed his. The pact he had mandated, ironically to shield his forthcoming revenues, encompassed a faithfulness stipulation that would doom him. While Marcus contrived his flight with Tamara, I constructed my rebuttal. I conferred with jurists. I chronicled every veiled diversion. I amassed testimony of their entanglement. I prepared dissolution filings. I orchestrated everything flawlessly, cognizant Marcus would postpone until after Olivia's affair to preserve her landmark. What he didn't anticipate was my lodging the dissolution papers that dawn, before his plotted unveiling, but with the dossiers sequestered in tribunal archives, not yet reachable to him. Marcus remained oblivious that I was perpetually ahead by multiple strides. I eschewed returning to the hall. Rather, I motored to our abode, a capacious antebellum manor in Savannah's vintage sector we'd procured 15 years back. The domicile Marcus had already pledged to Tamara. As per communications he was unaware I'd glimpsed, I stationed in the lane and tranquilly entered what had been our communal realm for more than a decade. Everything seemed identical. The likenesses on the partitions, the heirloom pendulum clock from my father, the weathered settee where Marcus and I had formerly projected our destiny. However, all was altered. I climbed to the principal chamber and opened the armoire. Marcus's garb was already bundled in valises, concealed rearward, primed for his timetabled egress tomorrow. I snickered at his predictability. He was invariably meticulous with apparel, but lax with priorities. My apparatus buzzed ceaselessly with missives from associates at the site, from Olivia, even from Marcus's sister, Lydia, who had journeyed for the festivity. I answered only my offspring. I'm all right. This burden isn't yours. Savor your landmark. We'll discuss tonight. I cherish you. I'd safeguarded Olivia from the Verity for months, shunning to mar her concluding quarter with familial strife. She'd resent my secrecy, but comprehend eventually. Later that afternoon, Marcus's auto arrived in the approach. The primary ingress slammed ajar. "Victoria!" he roared, his echo reverberating the domicile. "Where are you?" I reclined in the parlor, calmly scrutinizing dossiers on my portable. I closed it as he charged in, visage flushed with ire, the packet clenched. "What signifies this?" he demanded, flourishing the folios. "You initiated dissolution today?" "It dovetailed with your itinerary," I replied composedly. "You sought a novel commencement. I'm simply expediting the evolution. You lack the prerogative to—" "I possessed every prerogative," I interjected, inflection steadfast. "Just as you did to elect Tamara. Decisions shape us, Marcus. The antenuptial expired eons ago," he asserted, abruptly haughty. Any barrister would affirm. I allowed a slight beam. "Actually, no. Actually, no. Provision 12 distinctly declares the faithfulness duration endures the matrimony. Your consultant should have elucidated." "Oh, you omitted that, didn't you?" His tint ebbed as actuality dawned. The pact he advocated to defend his affluence would now divest him utterly. The manor, the retreat, his allocation of our nest eggs, his flamboyant proclamation at the hall had evolved into his priciest utterance. "You can't perpetrate this upon me," Marcus declared, collapsing onto the divan. "We forged this existence collectively, and you elected to conclude it." I rebutted, albeit not as you schemed. Marcus's apparatus droned insistently in his attire. He glanced, then disregarded. Tamara doubtless querying his deviation from their choreographed plot. "You've always been calculative, Victoria, but this is frigid." He essayed an alternate strategy. "What about our legacy? Almost 3 decades equates to naught." I scrutinized him. This man I'd adored for nearly 30 years, who had clasped my palm through 2 bereavements prior to Olivia, who had once astounded me with a seaside jaunt for our decennial. When had he morphed? Or had he invariably been so, my devotion obscuring? Our legacy signified everything. I replied voraciously. Thus your treachery wounded so acutely. His countenance mellowed transiently, perhaps discerning an aperture. Maybe we can rectify. I faltered. Blunders transpire. You deliberately rerouted our capital. You surveyed properties with her. You intended to proclaim our schism publicly to mortify me. His mien rigidified. You're amplifying, am I? I seized my apparatus, activated the recorder, and replayed his utterances. After the rite, I'll notify her it's terminated. Communal venue is optimal. She won't cause a spectacle amid the throng. Then Tamara's voice, and she's oblivious to the capital. Marcus anew. None. Victoria depends on me utterly. That's her vulnerability. His pallor drained. You documented our dialogues. That's illicit. Not in Georgia with single-party assent. I clarified, and not within your domicile. I didn't chronicle your private interludes with Tamara. I'm not malevolent, merely the plots to defraud me. Marcus surged upright, agitated. I require some communications. Of course, I concurred. Commence with your barrister. I'll lodge at Lydia's tonight. Lydia's? He spluttered. My sister's abode? I nodded. She's quite irked with you. Truly, she initially observed you and Tamara together last Yuletide. She delayed informing me. She confronted you first. You assured her it was inconsequential. You'd terminate. When she realized persistence, she apprised me. This was an unforeseen strike. Everyone's deserting me, he murmured. Ironic, isn't it? I gathered my tote. You have until tomorrow dusk to evacuate your belongings. Thereafter, the bolts alter. As I advanced to the egress, Marcus called, desperation tinting his timbre. What about Olivia? Have you pondered her ramifications? I paused, wrath breaching my equanimity. Don't exploit our daughter as a barrier. Marcus, you disregarded her whilst contriving your coastal idyll with Tamara. His apparatus droned again. This occasion, he inspected and groaned. Complication? I inquired. Tamara's at the condo already. She's relocated her effects. I couldn't suppress a grin. The suite you registered jointly, the agreement from last month? Marcus affirmed, bemused. Verify with the leasing bureau. That submission was flagged for solvency hitches and incomplete. The representative telephoned our fixed line for validation. I addressed it myself. I exited, leaving Marcus to grapple with his inaugural fallout. His impeccably contrived novel life was unraveling rapidly. Lydia dwelled in a quaint chalet across the municipality. On arrival, she enveloped me in a robust embrace. Olivia just informed me, she said, ushering me inward. Are you coping? Superior to expected, I admitted. I never foresaw Marcus orchestrating such a spectacle, Lydia observed. The banquet? Amid all? He's deranged. It was designed to demean me. I expounded. A overt repudiation so I couldn't counter without appearing deranged. We settled in her solarium. What resided in that packet that unnerved him? She inquired. I delineated the contents, the dissolution petition, evidence of his pecuniary subterfuge, and pivotal, the antenuptial pact that would rob him of his anticipations. The pact, Lydia reflected. I remember his insistence. Father had bestowed him seed capital, and he was obsessed with safeguarding it. She laughed acerbically. The reversal is delectable. My apparatus chimed. Olivia. I drew a profound breath before responding. Mom, she voiced timbre taut, en route to Aunt Lydia's. Sweetie. Unnecessary. Already proceeding, she interposed. Dad's alleging you've derailed, plotted this eternally. He's uttering dreadful things. Predictably. Permit his prattle. I counseled. Verity will surface. Moments later, Olivia arrived, still in her ceremonial garb, but adornment smeared from sobs. She collapsed into my embrace. Why conceal? She queried, voice muffled. Unwilling to tarnish your final trimester, I explained. You merited this day. She retreated. Dad guaranteed its spoilage anyhow. We relocated to Lydia's salon, where Olivia absorbed the entire narrative. How I unearthed the disloyalty, the economic machinations, and Marcus and Tamara's conspiracies. I perceived Dad's peculiarity. Olivia acknowledged, aloof, absorbed, gadget-obsessed, but I never envisioned, none relished discerning defects in beloveds. Lydia comforted. My apparatus signaled a communique from Theodore Grant, my jurist. The expedited petition succeeded. The designated reserves were immobilized pending adjudication. Marcus's admittance was restricted to essentials, inadequate for his Tamara property acquisitions. I exhibited it to Lydia and Olivia. He merits it, Olivia declared resolutely. He's still your father, I reminded. Your connection to him is distinct from mine. Olivia shook her head. Maybe eventually, but presently I can't behold him. He clasped me this morn and expressed pride, all while scheming familial detonation hours hence. The chime sounded, interrupting. Lydia responded, reappearing anxious. It's Marcus, and accompanied. I fortified as Lydia escorted Marcus and Tamara into the salon. Tamara seemed discomfited, oscillating, gazes wandering. 37, not precisely a trophy consort, yet 17 years younger. Marcus, contrastingly, appeared incensed. Victoria, cease this lunacy, he commanded. Liberate the reserves. We can confer rationally. Olivia arose. Maybe you ought to have been rational before proclaiming abandonment of Mom. Marcus's orbs widened. Olivia, this omits you. Omits me? She echoed skeptically. You demolished our clan on my landmark, and it omits me. Tamara clasped Marcus's arm. Mark, perhaps we should withdraw. He dislodged her. No, remaining until Victoria accedes to reason. Lydia folded limbs. My brother's mate appears the lone rational entity herein. You engendered this turmoil, Marcus. I lingered seated, witnessing the theatrics. For eons, I'd been the conciliator. That obligation fatigued me, and I'd discarded it. Reserves remain immobilized until preliminary audience. I articulated tranquilly. In 3 days. Arbiter determines resource apportionment then. 3 days. Marcus faltered. What am I to do? Your personal repository persists. I recollected. The one you've diverted to annually. Tamara pivoted abruptly to Marcus. Personal repository? Quantum? An illuminating dynamic emerged. Evidently, Marcus had been opaque with Tamara likewise. He ignored her. This is malicious. Victoria. Uncharacteristic. Perhaps you never truly comprehended me, I retorted. As I evidently misjudged you, Olivia queried Tamara. Cognizant he'd proclaim so? At my ceremonial banquet? Tamara appeared remorseful. I presumed a confidential dialogue with your mother. The disclosure today was unanticipated. I believe you both should vacate, Lydia asserted firmly. You've perturbed Olivia sufficiently today. Olivia, Marcus implored. Bonds transform, don't they? Individuals diverge. My daughter's countenance hardened. What I comprehend is you're craven, withholding Mom a private discourse's dignity. What I comprehend is you plundered from our kin while I balanced employments for tomes because you alleged finances tight. Marcus paled. That's not accurate. It's precisely accurate, Olivia severed. Please vacate. Dad, I can't view you currently. The ensuing hush was profound. Ultimately, Marcus veered, Tamara tailing. At the portal, he hesitated. This isn't concluded, Victoria. I'll oppose. I sustained his gaze. You're invited to attempt. After their departure, Olivia slumped beside me, tears cascading. I've never addressed Dad thus. I encircled her. Upholding justice can sting. Lydia procured fresh wine. To novel commencements, she proposed. Verily, I pondered. This termination heralded a fresh inception. The initial hearing transpired. The adjudicator, a veteran female, inspected the antenuptial pact scrupulously. This appears legitimate, she remarked. Contest it? The fledgling cleared throat. Your Honor, we contend lapse due to temporal passage. Provision 18 specifies span for matrimonial term, plus any severance litigations. The adjudicator intoned. No termination date denoted. Furthermore, the adjudicator continued, attestation of asset diversions infringes revelation mandates. I decree perpetuation of communal immobilization pending comprehensive scrutiny. Mr. Langford's individual remains accessible. Familial manner abides with Mrs. Langford during proceedings, pursuant to Pact's disloyalty clause. Marcus's cheeks flushed scarlet. This is preposterous, he muttered. The adjudicator pinned him. Mr. Langford, I recommend closer examination of your endorsed accord. Departing the chamber, Marcus intercepted me. Victoria, kindly, let's discourse sensibly. 28 years ought to signify. It signified all, I responded, until you decreed otherwise. I ambled away, abandoning him solitary, the gravity of his choices finally registering. Tidings disseminated swiftly. Meanwhile, Marcus's meticulously erected veneer was irredeemably sullied. The asset immobilization thwarted commitments to Tamara. The seaside estate they eyed lapsed. 2 weeks post-hearing, Lydia telephoned. Heard the recent? Tamara bolted. Already? Evidently. She discerned Marcus's enterprise flounders absent my fiscal oversight. The substantial caches he vaunted non-existent. I chortled. Ever the illusionist. Simultaneously, I rebuilt. I secured a humble urban suite and inaugurated the consultancy I'd long fantasized. Debut clients, 2 females navigating partings. Endorsements proliferated. I specialized in assisting women navigate economics amid upheavals. The vocation gratified in ways my institutional role never did. Olivia contacted routinely. So proud, Mom, she conveyed, supporting through nadirs. Merely what I yearned for earlier, I replied. Arming women for contingencies, esteemed for acumen rather than nurturance, was a fresh, empowering sensation. The ultimate parting audience aligned with our prospective 29th Jubilee. Marcus arrived haggard, subsequently discovered his enterprise languished sans my counsel. Tamara had evaporated. The adjudicator ratified the antenuptial pact wholly. Marcus departed with personal chattels, his ailing enterprise, and the dregs of his covert repository. I preserved the manor, my annuities, and 70% of communal holdings, precisely as the pact ordained for infidelity instances. The equity was lyrical. The very instrument Marcus had demanded for self-preservation became his nemesis. Exiting the tribunal, Marcus approached ultimately. Profound misstep, he whispered. Any possibility we— No, I interjected softly but decisively. That avenue is barred. I comprehend, he uttered, and for once I credited him. May you discover felicity, Victoria. You warrant it. Perhaps the inaugural genuine sentiment he'd voiced lately. 6 months onward, Langford economic evolutions flourished, expanded premises, enlisted a pair of collaborators, concentrated on fortifying women's fiscal tomorrows. Olivia frequented. Ironic. She observed once, if Dad had been forthright initially, he might have preserved half. Sometimes individuals can't perceive past immediate desires. I opined. The woman formerly defined solely as Marcus's consort and Olivia's custodian unearthed a novel persona. Advisor, proprietor, proponent. The packet at the hall wasn't just my egress strategy, it was the latch to an undiscovered threshold. Beyond lay not solely retribution, but renaissance. In fortifying my economic horizon, I'd also recaptured something infinitely more precious, my essence.